I'm excited with a lot of the lessons, but this one this one was my favorite. Because, and we'll do it through the recap. We'll just go through this very quickly, just as a way of refreshing our memory. Jack and Susie Welch. Does anyone remember who Jack Welch is again? He was the CEO of General Electric. One of the, a very renowned leader, and now is a motivational speaker. Mentioned about the success as a leader will not come from what you do, but from the reflected glory of your team. So last week we have had a little bit of an evaluation, a realization, that if I were to ask your chapter members or your constituents, what would they tell me about your leadership? Would you like to know? Because last week I was very busy. I went to all your chapter members. Would you like to know what they told me about you?
Yeah.
Who would want to know? Sorry to disappoint you because I lied. I didn't go to your chapter members to ask them. I wish I would have done it. But this is just to get us thinking. What would your, because the reflected glory of the team is the basis of your performance as a leader. But if you would want to, I will. Who would want? Okay, let's do something about that. Let's conduct something. And by the way, those who raise their hands, some may be just shy, but it is good. I think it's a good quality if you would want to know what your team thinks about you, because it's one way to grow. And then we also asked last week, and we had a little exercise. What is your leadership image of you? If you are to stand up here and tell us, what can you confidently and with humility say about your leadership? One that I'm way older than all of you guys. And with those years, I'm a slow learner. But with those number of years, I have come to develop that my leadership image of me is one of inspiration, one of motivation. In the technical jargon of leadership, it's called transformational leadership. So my question, personal evaluation of you guys, what is your leadership image of you? These are a few quotes from poets, and so the question then is, how does one build leadership? What is the principle that builds leadership? So again, just for us to think about, John Keats said, nothing ever becomes real till it's experienced. Albert Einstein, the only source of knowledge is experience. John Ruskin, skill is the unified force of experience, intellect, and passion in their operation. So what's the common denominator among these words? Experience. So if we would just evaluate what our past experiences are, they're a manifestation of who we are right now. The beauty and the real lesson, that's why I'm excited for this lesson, is let's take care of our present experiences, and most especially of our future experiences, because we can. And so last week, we ended the lesson with a beginning homework, something to think about. For those who were here, you were charged, what are some experiences have you started designing for you and for your chapter? Has anyone started thinking about that? What were some of the experiences that you started designing? For those who were here.
Well, I think in the beginning of the class we talked about the mission and also the vision of the view of Hawaii. It gave me a lot more information what I should be focusing on, all the activities and all the things I should be doing.
Yeah.
And one of it was, they have to experience, of course, if they're in Hawaii, they have to have fun. But also on top of that, they have to get everything, all the professional education they need, all they have to get. So there comes the career services,
Yeah.
and staff events and all those things. And and in the sense that all those, and also of course closer to building the kingdom of God,
Yeah.
and kind of relating to all those three together. And I think all those three like activities, fun activities, studying career events, and also maybe like temperatures or something like that. They'll learn, they'll receive everything what they're designed to receive. Is what we're expecting to see.
Thank you very much for sharing that. As a matter of fact, if there is one leadership, there's so much to learn about leadership. But if there's one thing that you can carry with you after, is if you are beginning to learn how to share vision with organizations, it will be a lot of benefit. Now, as presidents, in everything that you do, if you always refer back to the mission, even just thinking genuine goal, if you would think, I'm building genuine gold people, so my activities should relate to that. The career events, and we will work more on that. Let me just share. We also talked about the reason why we're designing experiences for us and for our chapter members is so that it would be easy to write it down on our resume. I just had an interview recently, and they asked me, tell us about yourself. And I am grateful that I have captured what it means to share vision. You know, my introduction was, I am a mission-driven performer. And then I went on for 30 seconds. You know what they teach in the career services? Because that's what I believe. Every time I go to an organization, the first thing I ask, what is the mission and vision? Because, and then everything I do comes from there. And so whatever organization you get into, if you would learn how to share that vision, your boss, your managers will notice you. Because not a lot of people have somehow grasped that concept yet. That's why they'll ask me, what would make you different from all the other applicants? My simple answer is, I may not be the smartest guy, but one thing I can guarantee you is everything I will do, all my performance will be in alignment to company objectives because I'm a mission-driven performer. So thank you for sharing that. Let me share one other thing, and this is the most current. Remember, what we do, the activities should always reflect on our resume. And if that, then we're designing our present experiences and future. And just imagine if all of your chapter members are experiencing the same things. Then there is no doubt that the mission will really be fulfilled. Let me share with you something that I've done, and then we'll turn a lot of time to you. If you go to our office, our bulletin board now is different. This is my latest design experience. I learned this from a past interview. So I was asked about systems. In my class too, in my master's class. And so I presented this to our Corbin. It's a simple task management, wherein all of the departments would put their task every week, and then every day they would see it moving. And so with this simple, I can go on and on about this, but again, an experience was designed, and so I can put one other item on my resume now. That I was able to present a simple task management that increased efficiency among our workers, because every day they are reporting to things. It helps me and our office staff. So again, let me give this challenge to you guys. What experiences are you designing for you to build yourself as a leader, as well as for your chapters? But I invited someone. Last time I asked about internships. Fortunately, in one of your president amongst our group have gone into an internship. This is Australian National University I've mentioned that internships are a great way to develop your employability skills. And so I would like to invite Malachi right now. If you have not heard, he did, well, I'll let him tell you about his internship. I will give him about 10 minutes, specifically on, tell us about his internship and tell us about his realization. Because if you'll see the process, we all are going, students here, right? And then he went on an internship, went outside the bubble of BYU. What did he realize as a student about the value of internships and experiences? And then what is he doing, the impact of it when he went back to BYU? He told me this story, that's why I begged him to share 10 minutes of our time right now on the value of internships.
I'm not going to give you anything surprising. All right. From June to September of this year, I went on an internship to the Legislative Assembly of Tonga. The unique thing about it is because nobody has ever carried out an internship with the House. So not only I was the first intern from BYU, Hawaii to go into the Legislative Assembly, I was the first intern ever since the establishment of our government since 1875. So that was a very unique experience for me. I'm a political science major. That's why I went to the House. But when I got in with my internship coordinator, I had to go into the House and listen to the deliberations that was going on. And I heard really new things going on in our island, in Tonga. And so I decided to go out more and to figure out and to find out for myself what was actually going on. So really, when you hear the islands of Tonga, the things that you think of are huts. You think that modernization and globalization has not been imported into our island. And I thought the same thing about of Tonga. I had the opportunity, I was asked by the Speaker of the House to leave the main island, going out to other islands in a parliamentary visit where the member of parliament goes into each of their constituency to visit. So I went to an island on the northern part of Tonga called Bamba'u. And it was my first time going down to the outer islands. I found that Tonga is still developing, probably still in the stage of infant compared to other nations. And I thought about how much our students in Tonga are really living in a box. When all we think of is math, and science, and biology and computer. We don't often think of our island as being still in the process of progressing and growing. So I figured out a couple of things that I thought that I would come out, and if I have the opportunity to go for further education, I'm going to leave political science to the side and do that. One of it is being a project manager. In Tonga, you still have to bring in a project manager from outside, from Japan, from Australia, in order to run the projects. No one in Tonga is certified to run these projects. And with these projects, you determine your own salary. And so Japan is going to come in and say, this is a project worth of $12 million. From that $12 million, you decide how much you're going to pay yourself. So that's what I found out in my church. Second to that, no one is certified to put up solar system in Tonga. Japanese and the Chinese are out in Tonga and these different islands. They're putting up solar system. And the workers are all these constructors, construction workers in Tonga. But the main guy that stands at the helm of this project is someone from overseas. And so I thought that would be a good thing to talk to my chapter about. We need more technicians, electricians in Tonga. And the last thing that I found out, the church is approaching a great era in Tonga where State Center has a satellite disk. Again, no one in Toma is certified to put up a satellite disk. Someone from New Zealand or Australia in the church or a company, they have to fly down to Toma and do all of that work. And to let you know, it's a lot of money that flows in because Toma, we're living off of aids from China, especially China and Japan. So we did a career event where I spoke to my students and I begged them to get out of the box, get out of this what you mentioned, this bubble we're in. Please just don't study about accounting or biology or even political science. We need to get out more because when I went to Toma, I found that we need to start being certified to help our island grow to whatever stage that we would like it to be. The last thing that I also like to mention that not many of us go and work for the government when we return home. So we're living in a box here in BYU, Hawaii, and that box only leads to the S&I of the church educational system in Toma. So everybody, majority of us that go to school here, we go back and work for the high school, the church high school, or the church companies. I went home and I found that was a problem in the government because government officials are now only taking students that went to government school. And so it was really hard for me to get the internship. So I begged my students in our chapter to make it a goal to try something new when we go back home. So the really big thing that I was focusing in when I went on my internship was first try and get a degree in project management because then you'll be certified. And the best thing about it, you determine your own paycheck. From what I had from my experience of talking with the Prime Minister and with these members of Parliament. Second to that, we need someone, a great electrician or someone that can put up solar system or satellite dish in order to run the systems of the church. And last but not least, to go in and try something working for the government or in private sector instead of everybody going back to the church and working for them.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Stephen has a question for you.
Question, where are you planning to get your degree in project management?
That's funny because when I went on my internship, my brother was already applying to UH. He's going into construction management, which is a really big thing that we need in Toma. UH has got a program that I'm looking at, and also BYU probably have a program that's that
There's
could.
also a certificate in project management.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, but it's kind of too late for that. I just figured that out. But I've asked the students to look into that
Yeah.
because if you have a certificate, the government's going to take you.
What, that's a degree in project management?
There's
Thank
a project management class here.
Here
Where you-
There's a certificate you can
and
get.
then you can take the certificate.
Yeah. Business 390 hour.
Business 390R. Yeah, Stephen was my classmate too. We,
One credit class.
I audited. I didn't get a credit for it, but it helps you prepare for the certification. So, and Brother Castle, there's a practical approach in helping. So, all right. Let's reserve some other questions. Thank you. But my only question to this is, while listening to Malachi, can you see any realizations of the power of experience for himself as a student and his future, and as a chapter president? Anything that you observe that he can do in his chapter because of that experience?
His experience really motivated me to think outside of the box.
Yeah.
There's the only problem I see with my chapter. There's a lot of isolation and they're like sticking into one thing only.
Sure.
Not thinking outside the box. So his experience is really good follow up.
Very good point. Any other realizations?
I think when he was talking about his experience, I think a lot made clear to him of what's out there, because we here studying all the subjects, we don't know why we're studying it. I mean, it's teachers, they will tell us and help us out, but we won't understand it entirely unless we experience ourselves.
Sure.
And I think he wanted
Exactly. I absolutely agree, because when he told me that story in the office, and I am an alumni already, everything, what you do here will have meaning when it has connection practically in the outside world. Right now, everything is theory, but that's why he can specifically advise his chapter, what they should be getting into, and plus, it's hard to motivate others when we have not seen ourselves. Who would have known if he had not gone on that internship, a design experience? How could he know that construction management, satellite, solar panels, it's only when you go out there that you can really understand. So again, I hope you take advantage and design your experience for yourself, but the natural fruit is when you see it, you will just naturally want to help your chapter members.
Well, I would, Mark, I already shared his experience with the internship. But one thing that I learned from his experience is that from his chapter, most of us will, for that time when we graduate and then we have our internship.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing that one of the good thing that Mark did during when he is still in college. He found a time to go out and do his internship.
Yeah.
We found out more than what we should have later
Yeah.
on in. It's time for us to go out to our internship.
Yeah. You know, that's something good to think about, is to design now our internship before we graduate, because, and if we can do it, I don't know what the qualifications are, but enough time to make adjustments still. So the only challenge with Malachi now is he cannot take that class. So he may need to resort to post-grad. But just imagine if you can do it, get certifications before you graduate, land on a high-paying job, then you can easily get into post-grad too. SAP, another quick one. SAP, I have interest in SAP, and I was just searching on the internet a while ago. Guess how much they pay an hour here? There's a job opening here on the island for an SAP consultant. Can anyone give a guess how much they are willing to pay?
$1 million.
Annually, that's the, but the basic is $120 to $130 an hour.
What for what?
SAP consultant. SAP is
Software.
it's centralized. There are different modules. It's a German technology, but they've centralized operations using modules, and so that's another thing you might want to really consider. So, all right, I'll try and give another short lesson on now. The reason why we wanted to focus a lot on experience is while we're chapter presidents, which again, we've emphasized this a lot last week. The next time you write your volunteer work as chapter president on your resume, it should be one of the highlights, as in how you would treat it like any other job, using the really good statistics to show what you really have done. So the question we have now is, let's start designing our experiences as chapter presidents. Design our experiences so that they would be valuable. So the question is, and the challenge is, how can we make our activities valuable and for you and with impact for all? Because for the past, correct me if I'm wrong, and I have no other intentions than to just stress this point on the value of designing experiences, that we have often called the things that we do as activities. And has anyone here seen more than just organizing activities? Or have we seen that the activities we do is an item on our resume and something that we see a practical value? Noah, in this case.
Yeah, I think often when we write our resume, any employer is expecting to see goal setting, and achievement. Achievement most important. And so our activities should have the same design. If that our activities have the same format, it can easily fit in our resume and make it appealing.
Yeah.
An example is organizing an activity and just have the activity happen and it's over. You didn't set a goal. You didn't know how many
Very good
attended.
point.
You didn't know what's the income, what's the impact on the people and on yourself. But if you can sit down or put down a table on that activity, and at the end you give a report and saying that, okay, after this activity, 100%, 100 people participated. This and this was accomplished. As a result, we got this
Yeah.
for this activity for our club at this day. Then one day you can put it on your resume and say, okay, I've been in charge of one activity. Even if you're not the president,
Yeah.
maybe you are just a committee president or whatever it is, you can say, I've been a part of head of a committee and I've organized an activity which has 300 people that participated.
Very good.
I think it's an achievement that can.
Very well said. As a matter of fact, if you do that now, if it becomes a habit, a leadership habit, it won't be hard to write your resume. And when you interview, you don't have to be rattled with the question, what did you do as a chapter president? 150 people online watch. We were able to develop organizational skills because every time we organize, we set ourselves committees, and one fundraising, we generated $2,000. So divide by 100 people, so each contributed a maximum of. So thank you, Noah. That's Stacy. You wanted to add?
Can you repeat your question?
The activities that we do, how can we see them not only just activities that we do for the present, but as connections?
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to say. So, my major is hospitality and tourism management, and what I want to get from it is I want to be an events coordinator, and so that's probably one of my main reasons as being president, because by planning activities and events shows on my resume that I can kind of do that stuff, and then people see that I've done it before, like on a large scale, which is like actual events. It gives me like a high advantage than the rest that just have the degree.
Absolutely. And I hope all of us, and it's not selfish because it's one of the purposes, we're building ourselves, right? We need to be on a higher ground before we can lift others. I hope everybody who's doing activities, presidency meetings, that we really see the value and what's benefiting us. Because once that happens, then we can now help others experience the same thing. So the proposal now is let's design experiences. From now on, let's really think of our activities as something that we design so that it would be a benefit for us, our resume, our leadership abilities, and an impact for all. Because if everybody experiences a good activity, then they can also, just like what Noah said, they don't have to be a president, but their involvement can be one that they can share. Now, let's go to the meat. May I propose too that activities will have value and an impact for all is the things that we do have connection to our main objectives. So let's go back to our mission. What's our mission again at BYU? If you always go back to the vision, the reason why we're doing all of this is for what? What's the vision? To build leaders. So we're building leaders. The reason why we're doing all of this is because we're building leaders among us and then our people. So activities should have a connection, and I just figured to use this analogy. So an ice cream cone, if you can distribute the ice cream cone. Everybody get an ice cream cone.
Can we eat it?
Before okay, we're gonna get there.
Where's the ice cream?
We're getting a little demanding, are we? I'm just kidding. All right, so an ice cream cone is connected to what? Obviously, an ice cream, right? But what is the value and does it have much appeal if it's just an ice cream cone? So the activities that we do here, they still have some taste. The waffle cone, the cones that you have. So just grab one, everybody.
Should we, you know what we're gonna get ice cream?
Yeah.
At least we're getting the idea. At least we're getting